My good friend Ariana, we were watching an episode of Supernatural. So far, it is the first and only episode of Supernatural I've seen, and the name of the episode was Monster Movie. And this particular episode was a homage to horror films of yesteryear, like Universal and RKO films of like the 30s and the 40s. And I enjoyed watching the episode very much. And so, as we were watching the episode, and after we watched the episode, we were discussing ideals to make for a short film. And at that point, we had just finished. Well, we were in the middle of filming the zombie short film, my second zombie short film, Wednesday's Children. But she had suggested, inspired by watching the episode Supernatural, about doing our own like project that was inspired by like horror films of yesteryear. And I say, yeah, it's a good idea. Let's come with something to make like a short film, that would be a homage to those type of movies. And so I can't remember how long after that, but I had came up with an ideal for Love Eternal. And I told Ariana about it, and she gave me her ideals, and then the script came about, and then after the script came about, all the things that follow with making a short film happened. Initially, we were supposed to film Love Eternal in the fall of 2014. But because of one issue or another, that didn't happen, and we had to go ahead and postpone filming. And when, at the time, I knew we were going to resume, basically film the movie, I did not know. I was hoping we could film these no later than the following year. So the following year came, and it was the fall of that year, 2015, that the chance came up again to actually film Love Eternal. Except this time around, we weren't able to film with everyone who we originally casted. The lead, the actress who played Mina, she wasn't able to go ahead and continue, and the actress had to be replaced with another actress. Her name is Felicia Garcia. The remainder of the cast was still able to film with us. You have Alfonso Marquez as Dracula, Edward Evan Valentine as the bodyguard, and Adam Ginsberg as Harker. So Love Eternal is about basically it's the last day of Dracula's life. And he just feels it like, I just feel this is going to be the last day. I just feel there's a change in the air. The tide is about to turn against me. And so he tells this to his beloved Mina. In this particular tale, this is like set sometime after the events of Dracula. Dracula and Mina are lovers, and they're like the lovers of a lifetime in this version. And so they basically spend their last day together. Along with, spending what time they have left together, they go ahead and they confront Harker, Mina's former lover. Harker doesn't come alone to the encounter they have. He brings a bodyguard with him who happens to be a vampire. And so it's a fight between Mina, Dracula versus Harker and the bodyguard. And all this takes place in the span of about, I think it's like less than 7 minutes. It's straight to the point short. And making it was pretty straight to the point. Beforehand was definitely not straight to the point. As I had mentioned, filming was delayed for one reason or another. But even before filming, it just was it was a number of hurdles I had to jump. Maybe more so than any other production I've had before or since, in terms of just getting this thing made. This was the first short that I had to do where I had to get a permit to film. So I'd filmed Love Eternal at Alley Pond Park in Queens, this really beautiful large park, and I had to get a permit to film there, and the process definitely took a while. There were so many forms I had to fill out, and this and that, phone calls to make, phone calls to act, phone calls to answer. This process took months for me to get approval to shoot at Alley Pond Park. Actually, no, I'm getting things mixed up a little bit. That was for when I was supposed to film in 2015. Initially, I was supposed to film Love Eternal at Central Park, and when I originally was going to film in 2014. I had to go through some hurdles for that as well. Not as many, but then at last minute, filming at Central Park was postponed. I can't remember the exact reason. It's you can no longer film in Central Park. And I'm like, what? It's that was the thing. There was other things too, but that was the main thing that stopped us from filming in 2014. So in 2015, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try a different location, and I'm gonna try to film at Alley Pond Park. Plus, Alley Pond Park was a lot closer to me than Central Park was, and the area that I wanted to film, or areas I wanted to film at Alley Pond Park, to me was just more fitting for the story I had in mind, the story of Love Eternal. And yeah, like I said, I had to go through a lot of hoops and stuff like that, waiting, talking, this and that. But then finally, I got approval. And the thing is, I think they told me they only granted like maybe one or two approvals per year to film there. And so I didn't think my chances were very high, but I said, let me just, roll the dice and see what happened. And, things turned out in our favor, and I was able to film there. And so, filmed there in October 2015. When I went there, that day of filming, we had a police escort, a very nice and helpful police officer named Moises Colon. And he was with us from the beginning of the shoot to the end of the shoot. Also on the shoot assisting us on this production was Daniel Robles, who was a production assistant. Esteban Moya was the sound mixer, and Samantha Buckland was the makeup artist. Ariana Vasquez, who was a cinematographer on my previous projects, was also the cinematographer on this project, and she also was an assistant director as well. I remember the night before we filmed, I couldn't sleep. I think by the time that night ended, I think I only got like maybe 2 hours of sleep at best. Call time was between 8 and 9 a.m. and I woke up, prepared myself, met the cast and crew outside my house. They were in the car waiting for me, and then we went ahead and we drove to the park. It took a little bit longer than I anticipated for filming to begin. We didn't start filming till sometime after 10 a.m. The first thing that we filmed was the opening of the film with Mina meeting Dracula, and Dracula's like at top of the steps. Mina's at the bottom. It kind of starts out like not like an argument, but it's just a very, it's kind of intense encounter between the two of them, and then it ends on a loving note, peaceful note, and then they walk together, and screen fades to black, and screen fades back in with Harker, the introduction to Harker and Bodyguard. After that, I shot some B-roll footage. And then we eventually ended up with the scene that took the most time to film was the final confrontation between Dracula and Mina versus Harker and the Bodyguard. And by this point of production, it was 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Filming had to end at 6 p.m. That was all the permit allowed me to film up to. And I wasn't nervous, but I was a bit anxious that were we actually going to go ahead and wrap up filming with everything we needed before filming had to end. This was the first complex fight scene, or at least complex for me at the time, that I had to film, and I had it thoroughly storyboarded, and I had quite a bit of storyboards. I think I had like 4 pages or so of storyboards, and I was looking at, we had less than 3 hours to film this thing, and I just knew right then and there, like, this isn't going to work, but what am I going to do? Like, originally, I had, I was talking to a fight choreographer before we had started filming, like a few weeks before, who had said he wanted to work on this movie. But then, like, I don't want to say at the last minute, but like, not long before we were supposed to start filming, the fight choreographer, he backed out. I can't remember the reason why. I didn't have a fight choreographer, and I knew I had so many storyboards, and I knew I couldn't film all those storyboards. But if I couldn't use the storyboards, like, what was I gonna do? Because I just had too many storyboards. And luckily for me, the actors who were involved, like, they had experience filming fight scenes before, and thank God they did, because they saved the day. Like, if it wasn't for them, I don't know what I would have done, because, like, I don't know, I just had no experience with fight scenes at that point, and I wouldn't know, like, narrowing, if I had to narrow down the fight scenes that I had planned in the storyboards, which ones would have worked, which ones didn't. And they took over from there, like, preparing the fight scene and making the choreography for it, and I gave my approval, and yeah, we were able to do it like pretty quickly. Well, they were able to do it pretty quickly, set up the fight scenes. And yeah, once they got it down in a way that they were comfortable with, we just went ahead and just boom, boom, boom. We just filmed what they had it, had in mind, what they put to the screen. All of us worked together, as a unit. Just everyone in the crew, just we knew we were under a time crunch, and we all performed, and everyone performed well. And yeah, we were able to knock out the final climactic fight sequence or sequences. Then after that, we had like just a little bit of drama after the fight sequences, the climactic emotional wrap-ups. And yeah, we managed to get it all done, like, I don't know, it's like maybe a half hour or so, maybe less, before 6 o'clock. So after we went ahead and wrapped up filming, we snapped some, shots for publicity and stuff like that. And oh yeah, I also want to mention there is one other member of the crew who also helped us. He was there for a very short time, but Ruben Aloa, he came there and he had done a makeup application, The Bite. There was originally, I had envisioned having, after Dracula bites Harker, that I wanted a close-up of the bite on Harker's neck, which Ruben did a great job of creating, and in such a quick time he came up with something just so great. But the reason I didn't shoot a close-up of it was, I don't know. I don't know why I did not film a close-up of that great-looking bite. I don't know why I didn't do that. I think I was just so rushing to get this fight scene done, to get this film wrapped up, that I forgot to get a close-up of the bite mark on Adam's neck. But yeah, thank you, Ruben, for doing that. And yeah, after we had snapped the pictures that we needed, we went ahead and packed up everything and, bought some pizza, and everybody went their separate ways. It didn't take me that long to edit Love Eternal, and I posted it onto YouTube. And at first, like, it didn't get that much traction. I was more than a little bit disappointed. Like I don't know. Like I just thought at first it was just very, very, very slow, the amount of views that was coming in, and it just made me think like, maybe I could have done better. I don't know. But ultimately, like, I pushed those thoughts out of my head, and I knew that I did something that was, worthwhile, that we all created something that was worthwhile. But then, like, I had noticed over time, like, months after, I'd uploaded to YouTube, that I actually got some traction, and actually was getting views, and it was getting more views, and more views, and more views. It got more views to the point that it superseded everything that we had posted on that channel before, and yes, since. Like, at this moment in time, I think Love Eternal has garnered like about 78,000 views, which, to big time YouTubers, that's not much, but to me that's so much. And like, yeah, like the next closest one that we have on our Forte Films Entertainment YouTube channel, that in terms of views, is another vampire project, A Vampire's Heartbreak, which was written and directed by my brother Kevin. So I guess we do really well with vampires, I guess. My latest project, my most recent one that I did a few months ago, At This Late Hour, is also a vampire project. Vampires have done very well for us, and zombies too. I submitted Love Eternal to a number of film festivals and screenings, and it did get rejected by just about all of the film festivals and screenings. But it did get into at least one, and that was the Macabre Fair Film Festival, and I had a really good time attending that screening. It was great seeing it on the big screen. I believe we got into one other film screening, but I'm not sure, and so I'm not going to say anything because I'm not sure. But Love Eternal has done quite well for us. Over the years, I have thought about going ahead and returning back to the world of Love Eternal. Not in necessarily like doing a sequel, but like doing like a full-length feature of it. I think about it from time to time. The idea that I have for a Love Eternal feature film is quite expensive. Because the idea I have in my mind is just so visionary and massive and all that other stuff. Like, Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to ever do it, but it would be nice. It would be nice, like to do something like, I don't know. Even if I don't do a feature film adaptation of Love Eternal, I would like to like just do something with the idea in some way, a spin-off. I don't know, something in the future. Maybe, perhaps I will in the future. Love Eternal will not be the last collaboration between me and Ariana. We collaborated again on At This Late Hour. Again, another vampire tale, and that turned out to be a great experience. In all ways imaginable. I very much want to thank Ariana because if it wasn't for her, like Love Eternal wouldn't exist. And I thank her for all her help on getting this production made. I also want to thank Alfonso, Felicia, Edward, Adam for their help acting in the film. They were all great. I also want to thank Ruben, Samantha, Daniel, and Moises for all their assistance. They were all great as well. I also want to thank the city for allowing me to have a permit to film at Alipon Park. I also want to thank Susanna Victoria Perez, who was originally cast as Mina when I was going to film Love Eternal 2014. I just want to thank everyone, who helped me, who helped all of us get this film made, and thank everyone who went ahead and watched this film online. I'm so thankful for the 78,000 views that we had so far and every view that we will continue to get. I'm just so thankful, for the opportunity to do this story about one of my all-time favorite characters, Dracula. So until next time, this is Matthew Forte, signing off.